This is my 1975 Honda CB360. I was gifted this from a close family friend about 5 years ago, and it's been parked in my garage ever since. So this year I finally decided to get working on it and hopefully get her on the road. And let's go through it, and I'll show you what I've done to date. At the end of this video too, I'll also leave a link to the initial video I did on this showing how it looked when I first got it. But when I first got it, it had a rear back rack, which was quite high, and a windshield that had a large crack in it. So I took those both off. Again, they were put on both by my grandfather back in 1975 when he bought it new. So first off, both side covers had large cracks in them, so I've repaired those. Now I need to touch it up a little bit so it's not as noticeable. I installed new plugs. It's currently running on one cylinder. I've checked the coils. One coil is bad and the condenser is fine, and the points are like brand new. So I've actually ordered 2 new coils and wires for it. So hopefully they'll be here within the next couple weeks. Now on this model bike, it is a twin cylinder dual carb setup, and there's 2 air filters underneath the side covers. I've checked both air filters and they are like brand new. I've had to install a new key ignition. That story's for another day why I had to do that. The master cylinder for the front brakes was seized up. There's a little piston that goes in here that was completely seized, so I unseized that, cleaned the master cylinder, and installed new brake fluid. And on the front caliper, the piston was seized also. So that's been all taken apart. The piston's been unseized. And again, I've bled the brake line so it has fresh brake fluid in it, so the front brakes are working perfect. Again, these seized up the last time that this was on the road was in the, I believe, 1997 or 1998, so it's sat for the last roughly 22 years. Underneath the gas tank on the right-hand side is normally your horn. The horn's no longer any good, so I've ordered a new horn for it. So again, hopefully that will be here in the next couple weeks. So underneath the seat, I'm going to clean this up. I've installed a new battery. However, the battery that I ordered is quite small. This was the battery that they said would fit this bike. However, as you can see, it's probably half the size. So this is brand new, but I'm probably going to end up getting the proper size for it. And the helmet lock, as you can see, it's half taken apart. That's the seat part. Typically this is mounted on the seat. Again, I don't have the original keys for it, so I'm going to have to replace the helmet lock and put a new unit on. And it still has the original manual underneath the seat. So the seat actually had a couple of large tears on it. Right here, it was that length. And on the other side, you can just barely see it there. That was all ripped too. So what I did is I actually pulled this together, held it together with tape, and then sewed it. And again, I did the same thing on that side. Again, it doesn't look perfect, but it looks a lot better than the rip, which was open about that far. And that probably took about an hour to do, and I'd like to keep it as original as possible rather than putting a seat cover on it. So just doing a quick walk around it. All the lights, blinkers, headlights are all working, including all the lights on the gauges. It's going to be a little bit hard to tell, but inside the tank is like brand new, so I'm very fortunate because a lot of these older bikes inside the tanks usually rusted. The petcock, or the fuel shutoff, this is actually leaking a little bit, so I've actually ordered a new one. And again, underneath this cover here is your points, and I've cleaned the points. However, they did look brand new before I cleaned them. There was no corrosion or rust. And on all the chrome, mainly the rims and spokes, there was a little bit of surface rust on all of it. So I've cleaned that all off and gave it a couple good coats of wax. Again, even though this has been sitting for 5 years, I tried to wax it a couple times a year just to keep the moisture off of it, as it does sit in a unheated garage. But as you can see, the rim's cleaned up really nice. The tires have a ton of tread. They're Michelin tires. Even though they have a lot of tread, I'm gonna end up replacing the tubes. I'll keep the tires on it, but I'd feel safer with new tubes. So I have had this running. Again, it's running on 1 cylinder. So again, like I stated, I've ordered a new coil for it. So it does run on 1 cylinder. However, you have no power. And it's best not to run a 2-cylinder bike on 1 cylinder. It's fairly hard on the motor. One other thing that I've done is I had to adjust the clutch. When you're pulling on the clutch, it wasn't doing anything. So I had to pop off the side cover, and there's a little round bracket in here. We actually take it off, clean it, grease it, and there's another rod that goes in towards your clutch. That was seized up, so I was able to unseize that, so the clutch is working perfect. As far as the carburetors, I'm very fortunate that they're not all gummed up. I did clean the bowls out, and they were actually fairly clean. So I might get away without having to tear apart the carbs and clean it. However, if down the road I do find it running a little rough, I probably will do that. So with all that being said, what's left to do is again install the new coil. And I've ordered 2, so I'll put both new ones in. And again, I'll put new tubes in the front and rear tire. They are tires that take tubes. And I'll have to install the helmet lock. I haven't ordered that yet, but I will. And install the new fuel shutoff. And I need to fix that peg. It won't stay up, it just flops down. So it's just a quick little update video on the status of the 75 Honda CB360. If anybody's interested, I'll do an update once I have all the remaining parts installed and it's on the road. And what I'll do too at the end of the video is I'll leave a short video clip I had taken a couple days ago with it running. Don't mind the format. And I should also mention the only other thing that I had to fix was this is your spring. This controls your rear brake light. This was seized up too, so I was able to unseize that so the rear brake light works when you pull on that. As you can see, when you pull down on the rear brake lever, it pulls down on the spring. There's a little sensor in there that activates the brake light. And that's your little toolkit under there. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel for future updates on this. Again, I'm also doing a few mods to my Ford 8N farm tractor I've been working on, some house renos, and a lot of other stuff. Thanks, take care, have a great day.